Welcome to Board Game Madness. I'm Mike Ganade, and in today's matchup, we have two AEG titles. We have the number 3 seed Cascadia and the number 30 seed Rolling Heights. This one's a little newer to my collection than Cascadia. So the first thing I like to do is take a moment to talk about what each game is about. Cascadia is a tile laying game that's nature themed, obviously, where you're trying to connect the same terrain on the tiles, and then you're going to be drawing creatures from the bag and placing them on certain tiles to make it sort of their habitat. And you're trying to chain together different scoring opportunities based on each animal, and those can change, which is neat and fun. Rolling Heights is a push your luck sort of meeple builder game where you're in 1920s and you're rolling your meeples to try to get the most out of them. If they lay down, they're on strike, so you're rolling them in this box, and you are building buildings and building them up in the central city area to score points. So that's a quick overview of them. Let's get to the first category, which is production level, of course. Now, these are both from the same publisher, so this is going to be sort of a close one overall, I think, despite the seed difference, just because I think part of the reason Rolling Heights is lower on the BGG rankings is just because it's newer, not because they're really that different in quality or gameplay. So let's start with Cascadia. Cascadia, as I mentioned, you've got these tiles you lay down, and you're basically trying to match up certain habitats, and you create this big map. And it tells you, on there what type of animals and chip colors you can put on there. So in this case, we've got, will that focus? Maybe not. In this case, if it's blurry, you can put a pink and yellow chip on there, which are the salmon and sort of elk. So another part of the game is you've got these really cool wooden tokens with your foxes on them, or, we would have been looking for an elk with that particular tile. So you're gonna place these chips on the map, but as far as artwork goes, the artwork is exceptional. There's just not enough of it, but you've got these beautiful artwork, nature artwork done by Beth Sobel, and you're going to have each animal in play, but each animal has a couple different scoring options. So, like here's 2 different bears, and they score differently. This is probably my, this part of the game is gorgeous. The artwork is exceptional. And it's fun that depending on which cards you choose, the scoring changes drastically with how you can place your tiles. Another really good thing about Cascadia that I should mention is gameplay-wise, I know I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, is that there's a really nice family mode. So not only can you place out these different scoring opportunities for each animal and change things up, there's also like a nice, easy family mode that you can play. Now, Rolling Heights, you're going to be placing, I guess these are like blueprints in the city, which have certain requirements. And you're going to be rolling your meeples in these boxes to generate resources and start building those towers and things up in the city. This game is a lot about pushing your luck with this meeple building and die roll, it's not die rolling, but it's like meeple rolling concept where you're constantly getting new meeples and new workers, and you're throwing them in, and you're trying to not get a strike where like they're all lying down. So you can push your luck to try to get more resources to build things faster. But if you push too hard and have a bad chuck, your meeples are striking, and you don't sort of get what you want. And each of these meeples represents a different material they can make, like glass or brick or whatever. So as far as production goes, they're very close. You've got these nice meeples in all these different colors. You've got these nice boxes that go together. You have these pieces that you build up. These cap your buildings and claim which towers are yours. You've got all these tiles in the city. And then same over here with Cascadia. You've got these beautiful tiles, beautiful cards, and some nice wooden tokens to put out in the environment. So as far as production goes, I'm gonna pick one, but it's almost a push. They're very close. I think when you account for Rolling Heights being a little bit more expensive, it's a little bit nicer maybe, but I think for the price, production-wise, there's nothing. I'm gonna give it to Cascadia because I think there's nothing you can fault about it. And as far as the artwork goes, I think it's like a notch above Rolling Heights. So for me, I'm gonna give Cascadia production. When it comes to mechanics, there's not a lot of overlap in these games. They're very different games. You have the tile laying with Cascadia, and you've got more of your push your luck bag building or meeple building, I guess, with Rolling Heights. I think Rolling Heights is a little more complex. They both say 10 years or older, I think. So as far as what the publisher's saying, they're saying it's about the same age group. I know that, or at least I don't remember there being a kids mode or family mode in Rolling Heights. And the kids mode was like very easy. My like four-year-old at the time could play kids mode in Cascadia. So again, this one's close. I've had Cascadia longer in my collection, so I've played this one more. So I may be a little bit more tired of it, but I also think it has a lot of variety, especially with all the card combinations and scoring opportunities you have with the different animals. Rolling Heights is newer to my collection. I haven't played it as many times. I do think it's a little longer and crunchier. So for me, this is sort of close because I think if I had played this one more, I'm just not sure this one would hold up if I had played it as many times as Cascadia. That's my hesitation to giving it to Rolling Heights. Played it, a few times. I like it. It's still in my collection, but it's one of those ones that's sort of been on the cusp of me putting it up for sale. I'm sort of holding on to it to play it a couple more times to see if it gives me different feelings or if I've sort of experienced everything with the game and gotten everything I can get out of it. Whereas Cascadia has been around in my collection a lot longer. Obviously, when it comes to BGG rankings, it's very highly ranked as our number 3 seed. So I think with my experience with these games, I don't feel strongly enough to overturn Cascadia in this category either. So I'm going to give it to Cascadia here as well. And we'll move on to round number 3, which is our theme. Now, when it comes to theme, Cascadia is yet another nature game where you're in the Pacific Northwest and you're building out this habitat for different creatures. So I have no problem with the theme, but there are a lot of games with this theme. I have several of them in my collection that have this theme. So I just can't in good conscience give the win for theme to Cascadia. I've got to give it to Rolling Heights because I have very few city building games. I have very few. This is my only meeple rolling game. I like deck building, bag building in general, so I do like the mechanics as well. But I really like this theme of 1920s like contracting work in a city, dealing with labor unions and striking. It's sort of got a tongue-in-cheek funness to it. So this one is a little more unique in my opinion as far as theme goes. So I'm going to give theme to Rolling Heights. Now, last but not least, we have our replayability. And again, while this may be a little unfair because I haven't played Rolling Heights as much as Cascadia, I do think that these cards in Cascadia give you substantially different game experiences and puzzles to solve every time you play it. It's really cool how the elk have a similar theme with how you're trying to group them together and herd them together, but how you do it is completely different. So even when you play game to game, while each animal has a similar theme and how you place them, the scoring is vastly different when you mix and match these cards. And I really like that. I really love that part of this game. And I think it gives it a lot of replayability for what would otherwise be a pretty simple tile laying game. The actual gameplay in that game is not difficult. You lay a tile or you put a chip on a tile, like you put an animal in their habitat. So there's not a lot of complexities when it goes to that. What's really cool about it is the puzzle of figuring out how to maximize your score with those animals. Now again, Rolling Heights is a bit crunchier. I think that's part of the reason it hasn't hit my table as much. But I haven't seen a lot of variability in my plays. You have different levels of buildings. You have like level 1 and 2, and you sort of work your way up the buildings. That doesn't really change from game to game. You have to acquire different meeples to build the glass and different things in the city. And you're just trying to finish off buildings and cap the ones that you've claimed to score the most points. So there isn't as much replayability and variability in here, although I think from a game standpoint, they're pretty close in equal footing as far as, you know, overall mechanics, theme. Like when I look at these two in the end, despite Cascadia winning three of these 4 categories, I think these games are very close. This was a hard choice for me to sort of pick which one goes. And if I were to do this matchup again, Rolling Heights in a future year potentially could beat Cascadia out based on future plays. Or it could fall a lot lower and get trampled by Cascadia. It's just one of those things where right now I'm not going to upend the Board Game Geek rankings over Rolling Heights. It's just too close to call. And when I look at these categories, Cascadia is very solid in the ones I've declared victory for it. So in this particular matchup, Cascadia is our winner. It's going to move on. And that does it for this episode of Board Game Madness. Be sure to like and subscribe to our video. Get notified for our next video. We basically have a new video every day this month in March, and we'll declare our winner at the end. So I hope you'll stick with us and keep rooting for your favorite games as we go through the month. Thanks for watching.